Bengaluru now Bandaluru. 19 lockdowns in the last 2 months. The image of India's IT capital has taken a hit like never before. Bengalurians fed up. They've had enough. They want life to get back on track and they want all these mindless lockdowns, prohibitory orders and bunds to end. Here's the story.
Parts of India's IT hub have been under prohibitory order for at least 20 days in the past 2 months. On the boil over Kaveri water wars, Section 144 has been imposed thrice just in October. And as the anger over murder of RSS leader spills onto the streets of Bengaluru, the Indian Silicon Valley found itself under prohibitory orders once again.
This is a different type of situation. This is only to have a precautionary measures that we have put 144 for a couple of days.
The Kaveri protests that erupted last month had literally singed the city. Rioters ran amok. Mobs set fire to buses and other vehicles. The unprecedented arson dented Bengaluru's image of being a business-friendly city.
And we must understand that some of us must stand up at the time of very, very mass kind of emotion to be logical and to say we need a solution. And we'll be very happy the people who are spearheading offer the solution.
From garment workers to local residents, several protests have erupted across the city. In August, massive agitations sprouted over selective demolition drive of Bengaluru municipality. Before that, in April, thousands of garment workers in Bengaluru clashed with police over a controversial Provident Funds rule. With multiple strikes, protests and violent riots gripping Bengaluru city and throwing life out of gear, the Bandh culture is on rise in India's IT hub. Bureau Report, India Today.
So is Bengaluru replacing Kolkata as India's Bandh capital? Remember, since Mamata Banerjee came in, the left went out. There haven't been those many Bandhs in Kolkata. That action now seems to have shifted to Bengaluru instead. Joining us on the newsroom to talk about how the image of Bengaluru has taken a big hit is brand expert Harish Bijur. Squaring off against him is the spokesperson of the Congress party, Brajesh Kalappa. There's an ASSOCHAM study which suggests that the total losses as a consequence of the violence that we've seen in the past few weeks could be between 22 to 25,000 crore rupees. That's a huge monetary loss. And apart from this, the loss to the perceptional value of brand Bengaluru is immense as well, and no figure can be put down for that at all, Mr. Bijur.
Yeah, absolutely. If you really look at Bengaluru, Bengaluru is not only a brand, but it's also an ecosystem that actually nourishes a fair bit of business, global business. And when bunds happen, what typically happens is it shakes the image of the city, and more importantly, it shakes the business of a city. For a IT enterprise to actually shift its entire piece of work onto a mirror site overseas is an expensive proposition. Forget expenses, it's also then image proposition which tends to get hurt. So I think a bandh at the drop of a hat is possibly not a great way to go.
Brajesh Kalappa, 19 lockdowns in 2 months. Imagine somebody sitting in San Francisco trying to work with people in Bengaluru and wondering why he can't get through, and those poor people can't go out, can't get their work done because somebody or the other, and there's always a different person to blame for one reason or the other, has called a bandh. You've imposed prohibitory orders, there's Section 144 in place, and people feel that there's a lockdown of sorts, Mr. Kalappa.
Yeah, Rahul, I think this is indeed a painful kind of experience for us. And insofar as the government is concerned, this is something which we would rather not deal with. I mean, we don't want a situation where people feel that the brand Bangalore is being affected in some manner. And this is something which is deeply painful for us. But the circumstances have been such, and for a variety of reasons. If it was the Provident Fund issue, then the anger was really against the central government. And if it was a Khabare issue, then the anger was more because of the fact that we have had successive droughts, and the worst ever in the last 40 years, or in a matter of 2 years. So when there is such huge amount of drought happening repeatedly, it happened last year and it's repeated itself this year.
Now one
and
second.
then there's a serious
you
shortage,
can say that there
then
are different
naturally
reasons.
emotions run.
Ultimately, it's happening on your watch. When Bengaluru is burning, when bus stations are being set on fire, there is a breakdown of law and order somewhere. You cannot get away by saying that different people are to blame or there are different causes. It's happening on your watch. You are responsible for law and order. And if the situation is going out of hand, if you are being forced to impose prohibitory orders, your government is letting people down. You are allowing the brand to be hit, Mr. Kalapa.
No, I agree with you, Rahul, but there is, in law, we know what is an act of God, something which is beyond the control of a reasonable, beyond the control of a human being. And these are acts of God. For instance, whoever expected that when the Provident Fund issue came up, suddenly there would be a huge influx of so many textile workers, and they all came onto the streets, and really this was not an issue which the central government, the state government had even encountered a thought of, because this was an entirely central government issue. Now, for instance, in the Khabare issue, you know, suddenly when there was an order which was passed by the supervisory committee, and that order was changed by the Supreme Court, or by its order of 20th, then, you know, naturally...
I don't agree with this at all. Harish Bijur, the government makes it seem as if this is an act of God. It's not. There are human beings involved. If, for example, the police had come down hard on the goons who were running amok on the streets of Bengaluru, then the kind of violence that we've seen because of the Kaveri protest, that wouldn't have happened. At some level, the government wanted that the message go out, that the situation may go out of hand, put pressure through the street on the Supreme Court, which is why the situation was allowed deliberately to slip out of hand, Mr. Kalapa. I want Harish Bijur to respond first.
Well, I will put it this way. You know, if there is a failure, there certainly is a failure, because, you know, right from the Provident Fund, conflagration that we had, and every successive one, there has been a failure. And the failure is one of intelligence, or a failure is one of anticipation. Because it is all to say that, you know, hey, listen, guys, this is 2016. We need to be completely paranoid about security. We need to be paranoid about what can go wrong. We cannot sit back and say that I did not anticipate it. So I think that was the old issue. Actually, today, if you see what's happening, I think things have bettered. Particularly after the last conflagration that we had on day one, on that Black Monday over Kaveri. After that, one has seen a certain degree of paranoia. And that paranoia, I think, is very useful, because I think in big cities,
It can be done,
only
Harish
the paranoid
Bijur.
shall
If
survive.
you were working on the brand Bengaluru at a time when it's been called Bandaluru, what do you believe needs to be done to try and fix that image? You can't have global investors thinking that this is a city that can be up in flames at any time.
You know, with the first Bandh, I wasn't too worried, because it was happenstance. Then the Bandhs kept happening over and over and over again. And now it doesn't seem like happenstance. It seems to be like a habit. A Bandh is like a virus. You know, one political party gets the taste of it, another one picks it up, another one cascades it, and possibly the government, which is sitting on watch, is holding the candle at the end of the day. As far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm worried. And I think brand Bengaluru needs a rejig, and that rejig needs to come through a zero tolerance kind of an attitude, which needs to be exhibited by all around, to say that, hey guys, I think let's call it a Bandh for the Bandh altogether.
It's not going to happen, Mr. Kalapa. Bandh for a Bandh, because, you know, the opposition sees immense value in calling these Bandhs. They believe they can make their point. Does the government have an action plan about how it intends to deal with? How does it intend to bring a Bandh to all these Bandhs?
No, I think, Rahul, the fact that election clouds are gathering, and elections are about a year and a half away, and the BJP, as you know, is performing terribly, even insofar as local body elections are concerned. Other elections have been performing extremely badly. Now they are feeling frustrated as in the process, and there has been a murder of a gentleman by the name of Praveen Pujari, and this happened 2 months ago. and he was killed by Hindutva activists. Now the BJP did not raise a noise about that, totally quiet on that. Now there has been another murder, and that murder has happened in Bangalore. Now the BJP has suddenly gotten into the act because they believe that this is an issue by which they can polarize communities. Now on account of this, what is going to happen is that the average citizen is going to be affected. Now there is the other issue of the steel bridge, which was initiated during the BJP's time, but undoubtedly they're going to create some more tumult in regard to this. So the point is that they feel that the only way in which this government can be brought to its knees is by inconveniencing the public. And for this reason, they've been trying a number of things. Earlier, they did in the DK Ravi episode. And DK Ravi, as we know, today it's been proved that the government stand was the right stand. And again, they did it in the case of Ganapati.
You know,
So
I'm going to have to end it there. I've got some breaking news coming in.